Could this be the year that Auburn takes down one of its big rivals, or maybe both?
In the world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the boog, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened, because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off, and you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie Five.
Yes, sir. We're back. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Rush, a.k.a. Charlie Five, and we are ready to get after it. Happy Tuesday. Happy Nike Day. We may have a whole show about Nike very soon, but today we're going to talk about the possibility that this could be the year that Auburn takes down one or both of their big-time rivals. We're talking about Georgia. We're talking about Alabama. And we had a very fun commentary to watch and dissect. So we're going to talk about that, what it'll take to actually knock one of those guys off. And then could Auburn be on the brink of losing another commit? We'll discuss that here in just a second. But before we do that, let's give a quick shout out to Rhoback.com. I got my licensed Auburn hoodie. I know everybody's going to be fired up for Nike, but hey, you got some licensed Auburn apparel that you can get with Rhoback as well. And you can save 20% by using coupon code BARN20. Polos, swimsuits, hats, visors, doesn't matter. Rhoback has it all. So show them some love. It's rhoback.com. You guys know how much I love my man Tyler Siskey and McCready and Siskey. I love the show. He had a hot take. He released 2 hot takes for 2025, and the first one got Auburn fans a little bit excited. So I'm going to play it, and then we're going to discuss. Here's Tyler Siskey's first hot take of 2025.
My first hot take of the 2025 college football season is 2025 will be the year that Hugh Freeze and the Auburn Tigers beat either Georgia or Alabama or both.
Hallelujah. I mean,
how about
that?
How about that? They got them both at home at Jordan-Hare. Auburn's got an interesting start to the year. Their schedule's very, very interesting. It's all going to be how they get out the gate. They got to go to Baylor. Baylor's got a lot coming back too now. Baylor's going to be a lot better than they've been in the past. They got to go to Baylor. They got to go to Oklahoma. They got to go to Texas A&M, and they host Georgia. Those 4 games are all in the first 6. After that, it becomes very manageable through the last half of the year until they play Alabama. So if they can come out of that first 6 decently, they'll have a chance to really get on a run there before they host Alabama at home. So that's kind of where I'm at with them. But I do think, the key part of this is they got 4 of the 5 offensive linemen coming back. You're adding a brand new quarterback room that all 3 of the quarterbacks there at Auburn, that whole quarterback room is better than what they've had the year before. Defensively, returning a lot of players, 6 starters, returning a lot of production. So I expect them to be a lot better. Again, it's going to depend on what that first 6, how they come out of that. But I think this is the year they get one of the other or both.
Other or both, I'll take it. One thing we have to do, I want everybody to huddle up really quick, okay? One thing we have to do right now, we have to be able to separate our feelings about recruiting and don't let them bleed into the feelings on the season. Because however many commits you've lost, no matter how poor you feel like Auburn's performing on the trail, that does not affect how good this roster is. Doesn't change a thing. You lose a commitment, you don't lose Cam Coleman. You lose a commitment, you don't lose your offensive line. You lose a commitment, that wide receiver room is still there, guys. And people are starting to take notice. Could this be the year Auburn takes down one of their rivals, Georgia or Alabama, or both? Seen it done before. It's pretty rare. It'd be pretty rare for anybody to take down both of them. But Auburn's done it in the past, and I think people are starting to see that the pieces are in place, that if you can put it all together, maybe this is the year that happens. Siskey made a good point. You know, obviously they're both at home. That's check box right there. You got them at home. Right there, you feel good about it. Looking at Georgia, I could not agree more. The start really matters. The start really matters. For Auburn to have the confidence, I feel like, to feel like they can take down Georgia at home, that game 6. Those first 5 games are so incredibly important. It feels like you need to come out of there no worse than 3-2. 4-1 would be ideal. 4-1 would mean that you beat Baylor and you split maybe one of the 2 road games back to back. Because what the crucial piece of it is really a 2-parter. Number 1, you get them at night, which is just doesn't happen. I can't even remember the last true Georgia night game in Jordan-Hare. Have had several end at night. Have had several start at the, that 2:30 mark. And then this is back when we played it later in the season. And it ended under the lights. But one start to finish with the crowd rowdy and electric. I can't remember the last one. Have to go back and go back through the ages. I don't remember the last one where that happened. Probably just off the top of my head, probably have to go back to the 90s. That's number 1. Number 2, you get them coming off that bye week. If you can come off that bye, if you can go into that bye week at 4-1, I'll even say 3-2. 3-2 is not ideal. That would mean as long as you win one of the conference games. If you lose at Baylor to open the season, that would be awful. It'd be brutal. But you maybe reel off 2 back-to-back, and then if you can split those 2 conference games and go into the Georgia game 3-2, no worse than that. You got that bye week. I think you still have an opportunity. Georgia's going to be breaking in a new quarterback. And it's not a guy that's played – it's not like they're breaking in a new quarterback that came out of the portal. This is a kid that just really hasn't had that much experience at all. And that would be a very, very tough road test right off the bat. Georgia's going to be good. Let's don't pretend I'm not going to pretend like this is the downfall of Georgia. They picked up 17 commits this month or something crazy. They went from 6 to 17 commit. They're not there's not in any risk of backsliding from a talent perspective. They are going to be loaded. Okay. It just feels like this Auburn roster is finally at the point where you can be competitive. And when you add in the fact of it being at home, being under the lights, coming off a bye week, this could be, I agree with him. I think this could be a year that Auburn has a really good shot to beat Georgia. Again, how you come out of the gate, I agree with Siskey, is everything there. Then you turn your attention to that last game, that Alabama game. And I've watched Auburn football for a really long time, and I cannot remember a stretch of football games, of 5 games that should be – I can't remember a stretch of 5 games that seem on paper more manageable than the 5 games Auburn has leading up to the Iron Bowl. You play Missouri at home, who lost a ton. You go to Arkansas, which who knows there. You play Kentucky at home. You go to Vanderbilt, and then you play Mercer. If you stacked up rosters side by side, Auburn is going to be a better roster, probably substantially, than all 5 of those teams. You got 2 road games at, not just awful environments. Vanderbilt, there'll probably be more Auburn fans there. Arkansas just kind of is what it is. It's not very big, can be loud at times, but I don't think Arkansas is going to be very good this year at all. So maybe you're firing on all cylinders by that time. There's a really good chance Auburn wins all 5 of those. So no matter how you come out of the gate, it matters overall how you come out of the gate. But as far as that Alabama game, to me, what kind of football are you playing after those 5 games? It's really like 2 seasons if you think about it. Everything leads up to one of the rivals. The first part of the season's tough. The second part of the season's really manageable. You still got to get it done. But both of them lead to a crescendo of a big rivalry game. And if Auburn can, no matter what happens at the beginning, if Auburn can reel off 5 in a row, and then you have Alabama come to town, you got to like your chances. You got to like your chances there. They're going to be breaking in a new quarterback. They're still going to be really talented. But you will have had a lot of time to sort of perfect this offensive machine that you hope is going to produce at a really high level. You'll have a lot of games sort of leading up. You can break this thing into 2 seasons, everything leading up to a rival. And the table seems set. If Auburn is going to have an opportunity to do it, this year seems like it would be the best by far to do it. Separate the recruiting out of your mindset. Has zero effect on the product that will be put on the field come kickoff at the end of August, beginning of September. Just put it out of your mind. It could not be more different. As a matter of fact, only one can influence the other, and that's how this season plays out. Recruiting can't affect what happens on the field, but what happens on the field can affect recruiting, positive and negative. What do you think? Could this be the year? You got to get it done this year because you turn around and then you got to play them both on the road next year, depending on what happens with the schedule. Do they keep Georgia? Do they drop Georgia? I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine us not playing Georgia in a football season. But if everything stays the same, you just flip them and you play them away next year. And obviously that's going to be tough. So if you're going to get it done, now's the time to get it done. And the roster looks like a roster that may be able to get it done. So let me know what you think. We're going to talk about another. Unfortunately, that was a lot of positivity. We're going to talk about a little negativity again here in just a second. We'll be back right after this. Auburn is on the verge. Who knows? By the time you're listening to this, it could already be happening. But on the verge of losing its very first commit of the 2026 class in Denarius Gray. Has been committed for well over a year. Feels like he committed like back around signing day last year. Yeah, he committed on New Year's Day last year. 6'1", 170 from Shamadan Madonna. You know, that's the Sean Shiver school. Not just incredibly highly ranked, but still a really good player. I mean, Rivals has him as a top 100 player. So, I mean, there's a couple of different sites that have – there's a lot of discrepancy on his ranking. But the fact of the matter is, if you lose Denarius Gray, you have no wide receiver commits. So, you're going to be back to the drawing board there on your wide receiver room. You felt like maybe you were gaining a little momentum. Maybe you could flip the script a little bit when Peyton Falzone committed out of the blue last, Thursday, I guess? Yeah, last Thursday. Then Monday, Claude Impuma goes to Nebraska. Kind of had a last-minute change, not change of heart, but last minute over the weekend. Nebraska really put the charge on him and got him. And then now you lose Denarius Gray, and it seems like you're right back to square one where you're sort of trying to figure out what your strategy is, figuring out what direction you're going to go. There's not a ton of wide receivers on the board. You got Jace Matthews, who's one of my favorite receivers in the class. But that's a guy, like, why don't you have him committed? That's a guy you could probably get. I mean, he was one of Deuce's teammates. Or if not his high school, one of his 7-on-7 teammates. Regardless, they're close. Mississippi kid. That's probably the direction you're going to look next. And then maybe you just kind of hang out and wait. Maybe you just kind of hang out and wait and see what happens. Does a couple of wins and an explosive offense, and then, any type of bog down that Alabama could maybe have, could that open the door for Sedarian Morgan to come back in the fold? I kind of do feel like, I do think he commits to Alabama, but that I do also think it's sort of a wait and see with Auburn from a offense standpoint. And honestly, I'll say it from a financial standpoint. Doesn't seem like Auburn's being super aggressive from a financial standpoint on the trail right now. If Kentucky gets Denarius Gray and they've made him their number one wide receiver, and Auburn views him maybe not quite as that wide receiver number one, but a really good wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3. You can't just take one in every class. You got to have multiple. I personally am a bird in the hand kind of guy. If you don't have any, how can you have a number 1? How can you have a number 2? How can you have a number 3? How can you place somebody anywhere as far as where you rank them on your recruiting depth chart if you don't have anybody else? And you don't really have a huge amount of prospects of adding anybody else better. They're smarter than me. I know they'll figure this out, but just be prepared. The hits just keep coming this summer, man. We need football so daggum bad. We need football season here so bad, and we're still 2 months away. It's going to be a long 2 months. Auburn's really got to do everything they can to keep Hezekiah Harris. That, to me, if you lose Hezekiah Harris, I know I'm kind of shifting gears a little bit, but he's your top-rated recruit in the class. He's your only, if I'm not mistaken, your only state of Alabama commit. Your only commit in the top 10 in the state of Alabama. You haven't gotten Jaquez Wilkes to pull the trigger yet. You feel like he could, but you haven't got him to pull the trigger yet. The longer it goes, the more nervous I get with him. If somehow you lose him to Texas A&M and then you lose Hezekiah Harris to Tennessee, you're completely shut out of the top 10 in the state of Alabama. And that would be a nightmare. Now, signing day is not tomorrow. Signing day is not next month. Signing day is in December. So, again, there's a lot that can happen between now and then. And you have to separate recruiting from this season because the recruiting has zero impact on how good this roster is. This roster is really, really good. This roster is going to be very competitive. And if you get any kind of coaching, any kind of development, you shore up any kind of the little pieces that kept you from winning last year, you fix any of those, you're going to be a good football team. And who knows how that could affect recruiting down the road. Keep those things separate. Don't let it bleed into we're losing commits, so woe is me. We got to fire everybody. We're not gonna make a bowl. We're not gonna win games. We're gonna lose all our games. Like, you got to separate those. They don't jive. They don't go together. We'll see what happens. Maybe we'll get a commit on July 4th, and then hopefully another one on July 6th. You got Ernest Rankins out there that's wanting to commit soon, that Auburn's, sitting nice for with Florida State. Who knows? Maybe you reel off 3 pretty good ones here in the next week or so. But I would expect, unless there's some kind of last-minute miracle, probably going to lose Denarius Gray. So be on the lookout for that. Guys, let me know what you think. Could this be the year we take down Alabama or Georgia or both? And then let me know how you feel about recruiting. I know it's probably not great like most. So, but who knows? Winning could maybe cure all. So, guys, I really appreciate you listening. We'll talk again soon. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. Stay button.
Thanks for listening, and drive home safely.